Well, welcome back, everybody. It's been almost a whole month since I've done a podcast. Today is Sunday morning, October 22nd. My last one was on the 23rd. And I'm not 100% sure why. I sort of lost my motivation a bit. And I didn't have a ton of stuff that sort of interested me and a little bit lazy. And I also blame football season because it keeps me busy. But I'll give it a shot. This is number 58, I believe. Sort of losing track. I might be one over or one under, but let's just get to it. So this morning and last night, I'm trying to get ready for this and get my laptops together, and I cannot find a mouse pad anywhere. And I started thinking, does anybody have mouse pads anymore? Like, can you buy them? We don't have one in the single house. We've got multiple laptops, but I couldn't find a mouse pad. So I'm currently using a piece of cardboard from a Red Bear and frozen pizza. And it actually works. Molly Googled it for me. The cardboard works. So if you ever need a mouse pad, just find a piece of cardboard, except it slides around a little bit. But we do what we need to do. So let's get to the sort of nuts and bolts, the rando stuff. I wanted to start with something I just thought was cool. I drop my kids off every day at school, and I've seen, and I saw it this week, it was Monday or Tuesday morning. The principal of the school is outside at the main entrance at parent drop off and bus drop off. High energy, giving kids high fives and fist bumps and talking to people and walking to cars and saying hello to parents. And what got me was this guy's doing this at 7:30 in the morning to teenagers who clearly don't want to be involved in high fives and fist bumps and early morning energetic conversations, but he still did it anyway. He looked like he enjoyed it, super confident, totally willing to embarrass himself to be able to do things like that when you know that the people around you are not interested in participating, I think is admirable. And hopefully I can bring some of that when I'm coaching for players who maybe are having rough days or aren't that type of person or need a little motivation. But it just got me thinking that where I currently work, I'm surrounded by people who would be doing that because of that high energy. And I am not that person. In most cases, I'm like my kids were. They are trying to dodge and weave and get away from that. And I would be the same way. But I just thought it was cool that someone still has that energy and confidence and motivation at that time of the day with people who probably aren't super fired up about giving their principal a high five on the walk into school on a Monday morning. So I thought it was a neat thing that there's still some really motivated people in that education world, I suppose. My been watching some TV. That's probably why I'm haven't done podcasts recently. So I watched finally Netflix came out and put on a Band of Brothers and The Pacific. And so I finished Band of Brothers and I'm about halfway through The Pacific. Band of Brothers I think is 20 years old, but everybody's always told me it's the best World War II history documentary movie ever, and I agree. It's awesome. If you haven't seen it, watch it. For me, somebody who doesn't know a ton about that time and how it actually happened, it's amazing and what those soldiers went through across the world is pretty incredible. But check it out if you feel like you know a little bit about history but you want to know some more. These two are really good. I'd highly check it out. I totally realize you're probably making fun of me because these are so old, but even though they're old, they still hold up and are really, really well done. So check those out. I watched them because I was interested, but I never had HBO because I'm a cheapskate, and in my life, I've never paid for HBO. And so now Netflix gives us that option. But I highly recommend them. Um, so another thing, I'm just the usual going down my list. I do have some tennis and pickleball stuff. I was invited recently via email because I'm important to join the AARP. And I got this email that it was time to join up. So, most of you know I turned 50 in April coming up. I'm about 6 or 7 months out. That's cool. No issue with that. But I'm looking at the AARP. They got some awesome deals, discounts on rental cars and hotels and food and probably socks, probably everything. So I'm going to join up. So if any of you are AARP members, I'm looking for some advice on how I should use that. Do I get a membership card that I can flash to people when I go places and go shopping to show them that I'm officially a member of the club? But I'm not didn't freak me out. I was kind of like, cool. Let's do this. I'm going to take advantage of my age group. And we use Costco for some travel stuff and great on rental cars and hotels. So I'm wondering if AARP is any better. And if you'd like to start a club with me, we can get together once a week and have coffee at Denny's and talk about our discounted purchases we made. And I also have a new business idea. If you've hung out with me enough, you know that I have a whole lot of rando business ideas. This one is here's my issue. I guess I'm extremely, I don't know the word, right footed. So if you look at my tennis shoes, my right shoe is always worn down near the top left by the big toe, right? They're destroyed. Smooth, flat, holes in them, all that stuff. My left shoes look absolutely perfect. They look brand new. I don't think maybe I don't touch the ground with my left foot, but they're brand new. So I hate buying shoes because I only need one. I wish I could just buy a right foot, a right shoe. So I got a business idea. My friend Julie is going to be a partner with me. So here's what I want it to be. I want to be some sort of app, website, service where you can go and only buy the one shoe you need. I would just need right shoes. I could get months out of my left shoes, but I'm about to toss a whole bunch of pairs because my right shoe's messed up. So you go on, you search your brand of shoe. Like I wear K Swiss. You find the model, the color, the size, everything, and you just choose whether you need the right or you need the left, and you order that shoe. So it would be cheaper for two reasons. You're buying one shoe, and it's used, which I don't know if that's gross or not. It's not to me, but I could get so much more work out of my shoes if I could just buy a right shoe. And we searched a little bit, and there is a shoe swapping app already, but it doesn't allow for one or the other. So my idea is sort of like a StubHub, one of those like those ticket brokers where I buy Colts tickets. I, StubHub doesn't, from what I understand, they don't own any tickets. All they are a marketplace for tickets. So I could post, I've got, maybe I want to sell my left shoes. I could post, I've got six 11 and a half K Swiss um, shoes in black, selling them for $6 a piece. Somebody buys my left shoes, or I'm buying the right shoe, and that's my business. So if you're in, let me know. I'm taking investments in two ways. Money, you can send me money. That'll be great. Or you can tell me you want to send me your shoes. Or if anybody has the right shoe, it's a black K Swiss 11 and a half. I don't actually know the model, but I'll find out. But that's my business idea. I think it'd be amazing. Also, it's not just for wearing them down. What if you get stuck in the mud and your shoe comes off and you can't get it you can't get it out? So you've got one good shoe. You could go on, get the other. One gets damaged, one gets whatever, and you don't want to pay for both. You can purchase one shoe. Let me know what you think because I think it's an amazing, amazing idea. And sort of lastly, with the nuts and bolts of things, if you're around here in Wisconsin, which most of my 6 listeners are, it was finally announced yesterday or Friday that we're getting an indoor pickleball club, standalone, no tennis. It's a franchise out of Arizona called Pickleball Kingdom. It's going to be in Brookfield in an old closed pick and save um, in the Ruby Isle Shopping Center near Elm Grove, Brookfield High Schools, that area. And it's going to be all indoor pickleball, locker room, pro shop, that whole thing. It's the first one I know of in Wisconsin, definitely around here, that is going to happen. They have not put out a date of starting construction or opening, but it's coming. I think it's going to change pickleball here forever. So the clubs who are maybe been half-heartedly going about pickleball or not investing in that area are probably going to lose players. I don't know if they'll lose members because those many clubs have the pickleball and they have the fitness and group fitness and all the other amenities. This sounds like it's just going to be the courts and locker rooms and social areas without the fitness part. But I could be wrong. I don't know. But they have been successful out west, and I think we're going to find out if the local pickleball community is willing to pay. Because for so long, the knock on pickleball is they're cheap. It's still true. They went from free to donations to put $1 in the bucket to lots of complaining to indoor clubs about how much it costs when it costs a fraction of what tennis was. And now they're about to get hit with full blast membership costs, court fees, lesson costs, and I'm really curious, and I think it'll probably work, and I'm wondering if there's room for a second if that works. But check that out. You can find articles all over Facebook, local news, all those places. But pretty interesting to watch the path of that and how that changes how other clubs around here do their business. Along with the business stuff, I have been listening and watching a lot of videos lately about just general professionalism and leadership and teams and those types of things through an option we have at the WAC, and just got some things that interested me, and some relate to tennis a bit. One of them was about delegating, and that's something I have been probably very weak at in my career. I think mostly because everywhere I've gone after my first jobs, I was the only one. I was in charge. So in in Indiana, I moved to Warsaw, Indiana. My first director's job, I was the only one. I was the only full time staff. I was pretty much in charge of everything. I came to Wisconsin, took over Moreland, and although I worked for Western Racket Club, that building was mine. I was the tennis pro and part time maintenance guy, and you name it, everything was mine. There were no other full timers. So I got used to making those decisions, doing everything myself. The Village Club, same thing. I was in charge of all of that. So I did it all myself. And if I wanted stuff done, I got used to doing it alone. So I've been poor at the delegating part. But anyway, this person doing the presentation says that if to delegate something, that the person you're delegating it to must be able to do it at 70% of what you could complete the task at. 70%. I thought, that's not enough for me. If I have a job to do and I'm going to pass it on to Ben and I can do it at 100% and I know he's only going to do it at 70, I don't know if I could do that. To me, that's not a very that number seems super low. So I brought it up to others, and others sort of said it just depends on, are you trying to grow that person? Are they trying to get better? Do you want them to learn and are willing to have a little bit lower quality? And I guess that's true. In my case, I generally just would be like, heck no, 70% is not good enough. So on a tennis court, I have it every day in groups. A net player will pass on taking a sort of a high degree of difficult overhead or a high volley, and they'll pass it on to the deep player. And that deep player ends up having to switch chasing something, crashing into the wall, falling down, a weak backhand in the corner. And I usually tell them, listen, if you're the net player, you got first option. Take a swing at it because your weak overhead attempt is better than their weak running, chasing, diving attempt. So I'd rather someone hit a weak overhead because that's still an offensive shot. It still keeps you at the net, less time for them to prepare versus passing it on. I don't know what the number is, but I could, I'm going to tell my net player they've got to be 90% better than you to let that ball go if you think you've got to swing at it, right? Because it's all the time. I didn't think I could get it, so I passed it on to my partner, and I have to tell them, well, did you see the situation your partner was in? They were worse than you, and you just put them in a terrible spot when you had a chance to get it. So that 70% delegating, I don't know, that would be tough for me. But on a tennis court, I'm thinking don't delegate. Ball goes up in the air and I'm closest to it. I'm going to go get it. Even if I know my partner can chase it, they're chasing it where I have a chance to be offensive. So think about what your delegation number is. Do you want to pass that on to them knowing that yes, they may get it back, but it's still going to be weak? When you have a chance to get a weak shot that still has some bit of offense to it and controlling at that point. I just thought it was kind of an interesting way to think about it, what percentage and when to pass it on. So I'm going to practice delegating better in my world. Another one was uh, it was another, an online recorded seminar I was listening to, and it talked about not taking your phones to meetings with you. And I realized every time I go to meet with somebody, even if it's a short meeting or a long meeting or important or with GMs and owners and other managers or people outside of the club, my phone is always sitting in front of me. They talk about don't take your phone, take paper, take a legal pad, take something like that because it forces you to, one, not be distracted. It looks more professional. You're less likely to pick that phone up. But actually writing something can stick in your head a little bit better. Gives you a place to take notes versus I've had it in meetings before where I will say, "Hey, I'm not texting. I'm putting in my notes." And so I've had several, probably for a couple of weeks. I'm no longer taking my phone to them. I'll challenge you guys to try it. It's I found it difficult at first because there's some things when you're discussing things that hey, I can jump on my phone and find you that answer. But I think the disadvantage for me is distraction. Sometimes you can hear it buzzing or it lights up if it's not upside down. And it's just a very simple thing that I think you can do to engage in those conversations better. If you have a lot of meetings, which I do, we have a lot. Um, and then lastly, with that, one of the best ones I heard was a discussion about what is your hallway reputation. It was about customer service and how your members, your team, people around you perceive you. And it was all about the hallway reputation. Who are you in